Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Pleb Underground, the signal without the slop. I am your host, Phil. And guys, you know the deal. We are going to dive into all the fun that is going on in the Bitcoin space. Let's see what news we got. For today. So we're going to take a look at a scenario that's playing out, possibly the sovereign individual narrative. For the people who have not read that book, I suggest that you do. You might find some of the themes eerily familiar to what is happening right now on the world stage. What else? We're going to take a look at some Hopium. That's right. We're going to introduce some Hopium. Apparently, Bitcoin Uptober is loading. So yeah, we're going to show some of that. Keep us excited, right, for the bull run. Paper Bitcoin summer updates. You know the deal. We've got a bunch of that. Yeah, got a few companies that we're going to take a look at, right? That merger yesterday, huh? The merger announcement between SMLR and Strive, right? So the guy who pretended to make a phone call to Mark Zuckerberg to tell him about Bitcoin is now merging with the people that are hoping to create medical diagnostic products, but also accumulate Bitcoin. That's going to be fun. Are central banks, are they signaling that they're bending the knee to Bitcoin? They might be. And for those of us in the Bitcoin space, I don't think we're going to be surprised by this, but you might be, if you weren't here and you just got here this cycle, you might be surprised at who turned out to be one of the biggest Bitcoin allies. Spoiler alert, it is not Dennis Porter, and it is not his announcement. Anyways, let's dive into all the stories, and you know the deal. Before we do, we're going to show some love to the Pleb Underground sponsor, and we are going to be right back to dive into all the fun. Here we go, guys.
Pleb Underground is sponsored by Archimedes Emporium. Discover the pinnacle of precision engineering, starting with their Bitcoin logo wall clock, meticulously machined in Maine from a solid block of aerospace-grade aluminum, ensuring unparalleled durability and performance. Experience the difference of a product made without compromise. Head on over to Archimedes Emporium.
All right, let's dive into the Hopium right away. Sovereign individual. It's playing out in Thailand. Please give us 0% capital gains everywhere. just do it. Let's rip off the Band-Aid, right? Let's just let people spend what they want to spend. Let's let the economy do what it does. I don't know why some governments are so afraid to let people have their own money. Like, was there some type of a terrible experience in the past where people had their own money and somehow the government lost all of its power to enforce violence? Is that really what happened? I don't think so. Anyways, so yeah. Thailand, congratulations, guys. You're probably going to get your zero capital gains tax. I hope we see that. Okay, moving on from Thailand. Let's go take a look at the Hopium. Let's do it, the Hopium. All right. Binance founder CZ says nations will eventually print unlimited money to buy Bitcoin. I don't buy it. So think about it, right? You know, you're the president of a country, the prime minister of a country, or whatever it is. You see another country printing a whole bunch of money to buy Bitcoin. What's supposed to be the game theory behind it? That now you are going to get your country to print a whole bunch of money to buy Bitcoin? Like, where are you going to print this money from? Who is going to buy this debt in order for you to print money? Right? Nobody's going to put up with this. It's just nonsense. I don't see countries actually printing any money to buy Bitcoin. And so far, what we've actually seen in terms of evidence is that we've seen governments confiscate Bitcoin, right? We've seen what happened in the States. We saw what we've been covering, the story from the RCMP, right? The Canadian government isn't buying Bitcoin, just confiscated from people. That's all. Like, why would you pay for something you can just take by virtue of the state? It makes no sense. All right, yeah, moving on, guys. Okay, so here we go. This is actually some good stuff, right? And look, for Bitcoiners, we're not surprised by this, right? Because it has always been the native money of the internet. However, it looks like mainstream media begrudgingly is catching up to the rest of us. Bitcoin has become the reserve asset of the internet. Always has been. Always Has been. So it's kind of, yeah, kind of ridiculous, but yeah. They're just letting everybody else know that it is the native reserve asset of the internet. But we already knew this. Okay, here we go, guys. Here's some hard-hitting hopium. Are you ready for this? All right, this is out of the Ghost of Puppers account. This is great. Only 3,000 more blocks to go. Now, I think this post was made on like Thursday or Friday. So if you do the calculation, right, you're looking at about 20 days. Okay, in 20 days, according to this, new all-time high. Let's see if that happens. Let's see if that happens. That'd be interesting. That'd be totally interesting. Okay. Now, if that wasn't enough hopium for you, normally September is a brutal month. Normally. But check this out. Bitcoin's average in October is 21%. If history repeats, we will see 141K by the end of October. Still a little bearish. I don't know. Yeah, exactly, right? You got any more of that cheap Bitcoin? Yeah. That's we'll see, guys. I mean, look, all of this stuff is fun, right? I love looking at this. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how seriously I take it. Now, also, another indication that this time it's different is because September didn't do as bad as historically expected. Okay, so this is all just fuel, right? It's fuel for the fire. Okay. Anyways, moving on. Next piece of hopium. Let's do it. As you guys know, right? We saw this yesterday. You know, the massive Bitcoin. Spoiler alerts. It had nothing to do with Bitcoin. It was a speech at the UN. I don't think I didn't see anything about the SBR or anything like that. But of course, right? The cheerleaders. We always want to hype up that the government, right? The president is constantly focused on Bitcoin. This is all the president is thinking about. This is all any of his strategists are thinking about. It's 24/7. It's Bitcoin. It's just not true. Okay. And if you do believe that that's true, then you may end up getting wrecked, right? You may end up wrecking yourself when the expectations that you have do not match the reality that occurs. Okay? Just saying. Anyways, I still like what we're seeing. I'm still thinking 20 days, moon time. We'll see. We'll see if Ghost of Puppers is right. Anyways, all right, moving on here. You know what? Before we dive into the paper Bitcoin summer, I feel that maybe this is the correct time to remind everyone that amazingly, one of the people that seemingly was an enemy to Bitcoin and crypto, right, was actually the only person holding back the floodgates of insane amounts of legitimized shitcoining that is on its way. That's right, guys. You know the deal if you've been in this space for any amount of time.
Reversing a lot of what you did, and how are you feeling about what they're doing now?
So I'm very proud of what we accomplished.
And the crypto community is ecstatic not to have you there anymore, and to have him there. Looking back on it, I mean, do you think that was the right call?
Yes, I think.
Because look, now we have this like burgeoning industry, and there's so much more innovation and leadership in the U.S.
and a lot more
crypto.
capital coming into it.
There may be more capital in terms of the interest in the public. The public is interested. I get that. But for investors.
You think this is dangerous, what they're doing?
Put aside Bitcoin. But most of the other tokens are not tied to any fundamentals, like Warren Buffett.
Now.
So
I'm sorry, guys. But yeah, to only Bitcoin's point, right? Mr. Burns. And I can't stop thinking about that tweet, right? Excellent. But look, you know, as much of a hard time as everybody gave Gary Gensler, it turned out that he was single-handedly holding back the floodgates of significant amounts of shitcoining, which is all going to take place now. So hey, look, you know, lots of stuff is going to pump. Lots of people are going to get wrecked. I don't know. Is this going to become 2017 in overdrive? We're going to see. Yeah, we're gonna see. I do have to say though, already it is different than 2017 because every token just pumped back then. It didn't even matter what the hell you were buying. And today that is just not the case. It's the corporatization of the shitcoining that we're seeing. Yeah, I don't think that part of it ends well, but let's move on, right? We've got some paper Bitcoin summer updates to go through, and I know everybody's excited for that. Here we go. All right, so NASDAQ listed ZOOZ Power approves plan to buy 180 million Bitcoin for its treasury. Yay! Let's go take a look at their chart. Man, that's a surprise. Look at that. That's such a shock. So, right, new IPO, and everybody just sold it. We are surprised. Let's go take a look at the high-level overview for this one. Negative shareholder equity, not a surprise. Makes less than $1 million in revenue, 745K. Earnings have declined by 15% over the past 5 years. Guys, the high volatility in shares I just don't care about because there's volatility is opportunity. But all of those metrics, right? That's not good. That is just not good. Now, of course, right, the carrot on the end of the stick is that whole picture just changes, right? Because Bitcoin. Right now that they're going to hold Bitcoin, all of a sudden customers are going to come rushing to them. They're going to become cash flow positive, right? Right? Or maybe they're going to have to do some parlor tricks. On to the next one. Speaking of parlor tricks, Strive and SMLR Scientific announce Bitcoin Treasury merger. Now, there was some confusion yesterday as to what was going on, right? Because obviously SMLR stock price didn't shoot up to $90 per share, right? As it indicates that that they're going to be essentially that Strive is going to be paying that, right? So people are wondering how exactly is Strive going to pay these quote unquote shareholders $90 per share? So it's based on the trading price of SMLR Scientific common stock and Strive Class A common stock as of the market close. Okay. And this is the key. Each common share of SMLR will be exchanged for 21.05 Class A common shares of Strive. So the TLDR, Strive shareholders are about to get really diluted. Okay. But have no fear. Have no fear. The carrot on the end of the stick, they're going to buy Bitcoin. And not only that, but now they're going to have SMLR's Bitcoin, right? So all is well. So, hey, look, if you had two businesses that weren't actually, well, I mean, SMLR's not in such bad shape as some of these other ones, right? But if you have two businesses that aren't really holding their own with earnings, how do you fix this? You bring them together and then you buy Bitcoin. Good luck with that one. Anyways, again, it's not financial advice, guys. You know, this is my opinion. I am not buying any of this stuff. I'm not shorting any of this stuff. I don't care. I just think that this is bad stuff. And I want to talk about it because I think it's fun. Yeah, it's good times. Yeah, it is magic. It's total magic, dude. Okay. Moving on, because of course, guys, we're not done. There's so much, there's always more paper Bitcoin to go around, right? Always more paper Bitcoin summer to go around. Let's take a look. Yeah. The $1 trillion Deutsche Bank says central banks may be buying Bitcoin. So we're not even confirming things anymore. Now we just want to know that they could buy Bitcoin. And in all fairness, I do think that this is actually some decent, some pretty decent news, because according to the report, right, Deutsche Bank is saying that, Bitcoin is going to coexist with gold as a complementary hedge asset, right? But of course, they always want to remind you, right, central bank, because all of their power comes from fiat and the ability to, number one, have the monopoly on violence, but number two, be able to issue the currency. So they're just reminding you, look, these things are hedges, but neither Bitcoin nor gold is likely to replace the dollar as the primary reserve currency. if you smell fear, maybe you're smelling the same thing as me. But it's just kind of funny, right? That it's like they just got to remind you, right? It's, guys, look, we know this is doing well. We know that this thing has properties that our current money doesn't have. But it's not going to take over the dollar. Okay, the dollar's still there, and to a certain extent, at least in the near term, I do agree with that statement. I just don't see that going anywhere. The proliferation of stable coins, what's it called? We've got USAT, right? Bohines went over to USAT. Tether is playing this amazing game of musical chairs with the U.S. government and buying their treasury bonds and all that stuff. So I just don't see. I don't see the U.S. dollar necessarily, falling off a cliff in the next 5 years, so to speak. But hey, what do I know? All right, let's continue on. We've got some more. I think it's on the same story too. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, just to close this one up, the U.S. dollar still makes up 57% of global reserves, right? But they're seeing signs of diversification. But that kind of stuff is just a bit of an ebb and flow. And I would say this if this was any other currency, right? I'm American. I'm here in the States. So of course, people just expect like, oh yeah, well you're American. Of course you think this. It doesn't make a difference. All right. Let's move on to the next Hopium. What were we looking at next here? Ah, yes. Okay. Here we go. Capital B. These company names. Buy 62 Bitcoin for 7.13 million, boosting holdings to 2,075. Okay. You know that I had to pull this one up. You know that I had to take a look at this. Take a look at their chart. Again, right? This is another new brand spanking new company, right? Just IPO'd. There's the weekly charts. That looks familiar. If these are such great buys, why is there so much dumping? It's just so weird, right? I thought that these were great companies. I guess they just need to hold Bitcoin just a little bit longer, right? Just a little bit longer. Okay. All right. What do we got next on? All right. Yeah. So this is capital B strategy. I had to go digging, right? So let's take a look. Let's take a look at what this company's strategy is. At Capital B, they're building one of the most robust Bitcoin treasury companies in the world. Indeed. So let's see. What is it? Their focus is on maximizing, going blind, Bitcoin per share on a fully diluted basis over time with solid financial engineering. Here's the plan. Look at this. I think I'm just going to go and become a CEO if this is all it takes. Raise capital, accumulate Bitcoin, hold Bitcoin forever, do not lose Bitcoin, do not sell Bitcoin. You'll notice that they actually have absolutely no, there's no business plan, right? There's nothing there. Like, how are they going to do all of this with the exception of diluting shareholders, right? And you're supposed to sit there and hold these bags in the hopes of getting exposure to Bitcoin's price. Listen, if you want to avoid all of these shenanigans, just buy Bitcoin and learn to store it in self-custody. You can avoid everybody else's shenanigans. And I got to tell you, this doesn't actually inspire confidence. When I see somebody saying solid financial engineering, okay, fine, solid financial engineering, and then they say discipline and long-term conviction, like those are really nice words. That's not what I want to hear. That tells me you have no business plan. That tells me that you have no operating income or dwindling operating income. You have zero desire to create any kind of meaningful cash flow. And to me, all I'm hearing is we are going to dilute the F out of our shareholders. That's pretty much all I understood. But guys, have no fear. In the next 20 days, everything is about to go absolutely crazy, according to some solid Hopium. And guys, you know the deal. It's going to do it for us. That's going to do it for this episode. And I'm going to catch you all tomorrow. Hopefully, no technical issues. I do apologize for starting a little bit late today. Murphy's Law. Anyways, have a great rest of the day, and I will catch you all tomorrow. Take it easy.